Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kerry. What's up? Wagwan, you good? Good. Now today we're going to talk about something that is kind of controversial in the lock community, and that is lock extensions. And we're going to be speaking about lock extensions as it relates to the journey, person's reasons for getting lock extensions, the types of lock extensions. Is it healthy for your hair? And is it cheating? I want to spark a debate. I want to spark a discussion. So if you want to be a part of that discussion, or you want to spend some time with me, because nothing wrong with that, right? Just keep on watching. I have my notes, my handy dandy notes right here with me because I have a lot that I want to discuss. Hopefully I can get it all out in one video. But let's start with locks as a journey and locks tied to spirituality, to political expression, to expressions of Blackness. It's first and foremost for a lot of persons, a form of cultural and political and spiritual expression. For me personally, locks started at a time that I was going through a lot of turmoil, that it was a time of really significant change in my life. So for me, my lock journey coincided with that. And so it has been a spiritual journey for me, an awakening. And it's the same for a lot of persons. You know what I mean? Hair in general has always been tied to big moments, turning points in someone's life. In the lock community, the journey is revered. It's the experience that ties a lot of persons in the community together. We can share information, share encouragement if things don't seem to be going the way that we want with our locks. It's a way to bond with each other over how our locks are behaving and that sort of thing. So the journey is very important. And so I can understand why persons would have an issue with extensions being used to start the journey, because it's kind of like jumping over the stages. It's like, you skip a couple stages to get to the end goal. I can understand why persons are considering extensions or why persons get extensions, because a lot of persons don't have the time, the patience, and sometimes they don't have the funds to do something from scratch. For example, sister locks, you know what I mean? But they can get their hair braided with some human hair and start their locks that way. And that's a route that a lot of persons take, you know what I mean? And for some persons as well, it is a means of bypassing the ugly phase. Now, people might want to bypass the ugly phase of locks for a number of reasons. They might want to bypass the ugly phase because, and this is a can of worms that can be discussed at another date, locks a lot of the times are not seen as professional, right? But they, persons in that beginning phase, your hair sometimes might look unruly. They might stick up all over the place. It just depends on what your hair looks like. And for some persons in a professional setting, that might not be deemed as neat or professional. You know what I mean? Although I can't understand why the hair that grows out of my head is unprofessional, but that's another story. You know what I mean? So persons decide to get extensions to start their lock journey for any number of reasons. And it could be that, they know that locks, or they've been hearing about locks having this ugly phase, and for some persons their self-esteem might not be able to manage going through an ugly phase, and a lot of persons, this is where they quit the journey. you know what I mean? They quit the journey in the ugly phase because they can't manage their hair being unruly or looking unkempt or looking a certain way that's not neat and sleek. So it's a way for persons to bypass that stage. And honestly, do I really have the right to judge people for that? You know what I mean? So that's something to also consider. And some persons who get extensions do let the hair grow and lock at the root as they get their growth, and then when their hair gets to a certain length, they cut the extensions out. No, who am I to say that that person's journey is invalid? You know what I mean? I don't know if that person's journey is invalid. For example, Eva Marcel from Real Housewives of Atlanta, she did the same thing. She got extensions, and then when her hair got to a certain length, she took the extensions out and is sporting her own hair, her own locks. But some persons see that as cheating. You know what I mean? Is it really? Is it? I guess it can be considered cheating in a sort of way, but does that mean their journey is less valid? Does that mean that their locks aren't locks? You know what I mean? The only instance that I can remember where getting extensions would make your hair not fall into a certain category anymore. I'm falling over my words today. Would be sister locks. I know that sister locks operates on a certain system, a patented system, and so if you get extensions while you have sister locks, they're no longer considered sister locks because those locks no longer conform to that patented system. So that's one way that I can see how a certain type of locks wouldn't be that type of locks anymore if you got extensions. You know what I mean? Persons also use extensions to add color to their hair. And we all know that bleaching our hair can be very detrimental to our locks because bleaching dries out the locks, dries out hair in general, and can cause breakage. So that is also a reason why persons get extensions. Another thing that I want to touch on are the types of extensions that are available. Now, we know that we have Microlocs, which encompasses all small locks, including sister locks, and we have traditional locks, which are larger sized locks. I know that the two most popular that I've been seeing and that I researched when I was considering getting extensions to start my lock journey was Belle Microlocs for Microlocs. That's when I decided to get the smaller size locks. But before, I was considering nappy locks. And nappy locks, they're pre-made locks that are already, you know, they use a tool to knot the hair and form it into a lock, and that is attached to your own hair, and then you grow out your hair as normal. And then there are microlock extensions like Belle Microlocs, where it is either braided or two-strand twisted into your hair, and that's human hair for both of them, I should say. And that it's twisted and it acts like regular human hair. It shrinks up, it knots up, and starts to form locks over a period of time. So that was something that I'd looked into. I wouldn't have been able to get Belle Microlocs because I'm in Jamaica and the persons who do that are in the US, but I had thought, because I'm good with my hands and I'm good with my hair, that I would probably get human hair and try to replicate something similar for myself. But based on the research that I did, I really love how those two lock extension systems age and mature and turn out. So if you are considering getting extensions, whether it's for traditional locks or for Microlocs, that is something that you can look into. I'm not saying everybody should go out and get extensions because it's, up to you, but those are the two best that I saw in my opinion. Next. Oh, and before I go ahead to the next section, I should also let you guys know that if you're going to do extensions yourself, like I was considering, get good quality human hair, because just like when you're buying a wig, you have to look for best quality, or anything else for that matter. The quality of the hair matters, and it will matter in the long run because you're going to keep that in for the long term. You know what I mean? I want to move on now to discuss whether lock extensions are healthy for your hair. And I want to discuss it from my perspective of having weak edges, of having thin hair, of having alopecia. You know what I mean? For me, I made the decision that lock extensions weren't right for me because, number one, any time I did any sorts of braids or twists or anything where I added hair extensions to my hair, in a twisted or braided form, my edges would suffer. And that is because either the braider did it too tightly or the extensions were too heavy for my roots and my edges. So I decided, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'd actually done a style that was very similar to getting the Belle Microlocs a couple of years ago, and my edges still suffered. So I knew that that wasn't for me personally, because my edges, just would not have had it. But I think if the person who is braiding your hair is gentle, it might be able to work. If it's a loctician who understands how to manage and will give you tips and ideas on how to care for those locks, then I think you can, make an informed decision on whether or not you'd want to take that risk. But for me, that was not something that I wanted to do. Some locticians advise against getting extensions because, in their opinion, it will hinder the locking process. Because let's face it, even though those extensions, some of them might be human hair, they might not mimic how human hair that grows out of your head would react and would change over time to form locks. So I guess that is a reason why some locticians do not do extensions. Some of them advise against it, and some locticians also say that lock extensions will cause breakage. You know what I mean? Of your locks. And you don't want 1 year into your lock journey started with extensions and your locks start to break off. So that is something that you should also consider. I know personally, as somebody who does install locks and offers locking services, I do not offer lock extensions. And it's not because I think it's cheating or I'm on a soapbox or anything. I'm just not skilled in that area, so I do not offer it. But it would take a lot of time for me to do. So I'm not even going there. That would not be for me. To do Getting locks on natural hair is long enough. You know what I mean? All right. So we get to the question of, are lock extensions cheating? And you know what? If you look at it from a certain perspective, it is, because you're bypassing certain steps to get to an end result. So it can be considered as cheating. But to be honest, who are we to judge? If somebody's lock journey is valid, who is the authority on whose lock journey is valid? I think the authority on whose lock journey is valid is a person who is wearing the locks. You know what I mean? And to be honest, we face discrimination based on our hair from outside already. Let's not, from outside the community, that is, let's not judge within the community. You know what I mean? I understand that persons who revere the journey and who went through the journey themselves and who had this spiritual awakening and spiritual connections to their locks would see somebody who, did lock extensions and say that they didn't go through the journey, so their journey is less valid than mine. But as I said before, persons get Microlocs extensions or lock extensions for various reasons. You know what I mean? Their busy lifestyle may not be conducive for them to get locks from the beginning stages up. And some persons are in professional settings, and whether or not that is right or should happen, locks in the beginning stages for a lot of persons may not always be looking sleek and tidy, and it may be considered unprofessional, right? So that is something to also consider. But the fact that I decided to get extensions myself, I don't think I'm in any position to judge anybody's journey. You know what I mean? If you want to get extensions down to your butt to start your locks, fine, do it. You know what I mean? That is your decision. And it just leads me, to say, guys, let's stop judging. I know that we have this idea of what the getting locks should be, of the journey, of the steps and all of that. But let's just welcome everyone with open arms and not invalidate their journey. So in conclusion, at the end of the day, everybody's journey is their own. They can do whatever they want with their own hair. And I do hope that we are more inclusive and more accepting of persons, however they decide to start their journey. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, if you decide to get locks, extensions, do your research. Search and see what is best. Know your hair type, know what will work with your hair, know what won't work with your hair. You know what I mean? And do what is best for you at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So that is the advice that I would have for anyone that is considering lock extensions. So with all of that in mind, I would like you guys in the comments to have a discussion. Tell me, what do you think of lock extensions? Do you think they are cheating? Would you get lock extensions? Do you think they're healthy for your hair? Let me know in the comments, and I, as usual, will be down there answering your comments and having the discussion right along with you. In the meantime, please go ahead and follow my social media. It is Instagram, which is Carry Unlock. On Twitter, I am Carrie Bellum, and I do have a makeup page which I need to post on, but I would really love you to follow me there as well. It is Carrie Bellum, just like my Twitter account. As usual, guys, please stay safe, mask up, sanitize, social distance, and until next time, bye.